Dear viewers, welcome to this new talk show about sustainability. I welcome our two wonderful guests, Thea Skelton from SMG and Dr. Ismahane Eluafi from ICBA. Welcome.
Thank you.
Today, actually, I have two important issues that I would like to talk about, and I need your reflection about them. First, let me start with Thea.
Thank you.
You are the division director at SMG. I know your company, actually, you are involved in activities related to sustainability. Can you please first tell us what's SMG?
Yes, SMG stands for Streamline Marketing Group, and we're an events agency here in Dubai. And we organise an event called the Urban Agenda Conference, which is in partnership and hosted by Dubai Municipality. And it's very much looking at how Dubai is developing over the next 6 years at quite a rapid pace, but making sure, but this event will also look at issues around how it's making sure it's still a livable place in terms of sustainability, in terms of being a smart city, and in terms of being a place that people actually want to reside and live as well.
All right, thanks. Dr. Ismahane Eluafi, you are General Director for ICBA. So it will be nice if you tell us a little bit, before I start asking you, a little bit about ICBA.
So ICBA stands for the International Center of Biosaline Agriculture. It's an international organization that conducts research for development. It's a non-for-profit organization that was based in Dubai. So the idea came up through the Islamic Development Bank and the board of directors in the Islamic Development Bank, the 56 countries that are a member of the IDB. There was a huge concern about salinization in their countries. And they had a lot of concern that there isn't any international organization that's tackling the problem. There isn't enough research on it, and they don't know how to go about it. So that happens in about 97. So there was a resolution by the board of directors of IDB to create ICBA, and it was very generously hosted by the UAE government, and that's where it started its journey.
Good.
Yeah, so if I could expand a little bit more. So ICBA, as I said, is an international non-for-profit research for development organization. We work on issues related to salinization, but also we work on issues related to water management. So first of all, we're looking at different agriculture production systems that could make a healthy production in a saline or marginal environment. But we are also looking at how could we save water, how could we make better use of water? We call it a crop per drop. Yeah.
All right, thanks. Thea, you are working now with a conference that you call it Urban Agenda 2020.
Yes.
Can you tell us why Urban Agenda 2020 is something related to sustainability, or how it will help Dubai with this issue?
Well, one of the reasons why we were asked to do the conference with the municipalities, because obviously Dubai has just won the Expo bid. So over the next 6 years, there's a huge amount of development happening in the Emirate. But Dubai has always been a place that people don't want to just come and work. They want to live here. There's lots of factors outside of economic factors that bring them to Dubai. And this event is looking at how Dubai can develop as I said before, at quite a rapid pace, but in a very sustainable way. So a sustainable way for the communities that live here, an environmentally sustainable way, and an economically sustainable way. So the Urban Agenda Conference is looking at issues and themes from the master planning of Dubai through to green building, through to topics that, on why cities succeed, what will Dubai look like in 6 years' time, and how can it be developed in a sustainable way. The sustainability is the key theme of the conference.
Nice. ICBA, you have actually, as I understand, you have very strong relationship to issues related to sustainability in general. How do you think your activities, your research, your works can support Dubai in its efforts to achieve sustainability?
If I think about Dubai, or I think about the UAE, or even broader as a GCC countries, one of the major issues here is water scarcity. So water problems are at the forefront. And most of the water is used for agriculture. Some of it for landscaping and forestry, but the majority of it is for agriculture. So when we talk about sustainability, you talk about preserving your natural resources. And when we talk about water, it's a natural resource that is non-renewable in the region, that is very much abused, very much used. And hence, it's very important to look at production system that helps you preserve that little water you have. And that's where ICBA works right now. We work on the genetic side on the crop to develop the right crops for the region as a whole. We look at different irrigation systems and irrigation methodologies to make sure that we're using it the most efficient way. But also we look at other sources of water. So if we know that groundwater, for example, in the UAE, going to be completely exhausted in 50 years. If they keep using it the way they are using it, there will be
years.
In 50 years. So
no water to drink then?
No water whatsoever from the aquifera. The aquifera takes millions and billions of years to build it up. So what we are doing is looking at non-conventional water sources, like the brackish water, like the drainage water, but also we are looking at treated wastewater, for example. Dubai is growing up, as Thea was saying, it's growing up exponentially. So the population is going to grow. The UAE is using a lot of desalination to get its water for domestic use and industrial use. And that water goes into treatment because that's the way things has to be done for environmental purposes. So the treated wastewater in the Gulf countries is mostly at the third level. So it's a very good quality water. And unfortunately, some of it here in Dubai, it's used, but some of it is thrown back in the sea. So it's like if you are throwing money in the sea, basically, and you are throwing something that's very expensive, very important. So what we are looking for, and we're working with Dubai municipality on it, we are receiving treated wastewater from them, and we are working with them on developing agricultural, peri-urban agriculture system using treated wastewater, keeping in mind that's the only source that's renewable. It's the only source of water that's growing up versus the rest that is really dwelling down.
Do you think that the conference that you are arranging will raise this issue?
Water
Urban Agenda 20?
Yeah, potentially. Actually, it's interesting hearing you speak about it because, as you're right, as populations develop, water scarcity is something that is at the forefront of the agenda. I mean, it is already. So it's a huge issue that does need to be discussed and tackled. So actually, it might be something that we would look to include, I think, now.
Exactly. And if you think about the water, produced water, for example, I mean, the GCC, again, it's an energy producers.
Yeah.
And for every barrel of oil, they're using about 8 to 13 barrels of water. So there's a huge water that's produced in the oil business that could be used.
Yeah.
So there is the scarcity, there is the competition between sectors for the water, and as it's dwelling more, the competition going to be higher. But there's also innovative way of reusing the water.
Yeah.
Either reusing the water of the air conditioner, collecting water, creating rain per se. There are different ways, or there's an easy one, which is you just take your treated wastewater and make the infrastructure to use it properly.
So in terms of what you're doing, is everything you're doing quite new? Is the kind of, because Dubai is obviously desert environment and the UAE, so the issues facing Dubai kind of maybe bigger than the rest of the world, but water scarcity will be an issue for the rest of the world. So it's kind of, I guess, are you leading in terms of the research and development?
So if you look at the water scarcity, I think it's a global problem.
Yeah.
It's more intensive here because of the climate and the fact that it's an arid or semi-arid region. But really the water scarcity, it was ranked by the World Economic Forum as in the top 5 in likelihood and impact.
Yeah.
So either the fact that it's going to happen, and if it happens, what's going to happen? What will be the impacts on the population? So the water scarcity, it's definitely like a non-debatable subject per se. It's much more now, how could you make sure that you keep your water security linked to your food security and to your energy security, and how could you make trade-off between the different securities? Yeah.
But I was thinking that in case the workshop that you
Yeah.
are planning to do, maybe it will be very interesting idea that you include the issue of water in the city, landscaping
Yeah.
and such, and maybe
We had
you
we
can
had a
help
conference.
us.
We had a conference in January about treated
Yeah.
wastewater reuse in agriculture.
Oh, did you?
We talked-
Okay.
yes, it
Yeah.
was here in Dubai on the
Right.
14th to 16th of January. And what we looked at the different Arab countries.
Yeah.
Like in Singapore, they use it up to drinking it. So they do the fourth
Really?
level and they bottle it and sell it and people can drink it.
Okay.
So that's a very, very advanced country that use treated wastewater very, very
interesting.
Yeah.
nicely.
Even drinking.
Even
wonderful.
drinking to the fourth level. So it's like,
Wow.
it became so pure.
Yeah.
But in the Arab world, what we find out throughout the conference is that there are different levels. There are countries that do the tertiary level, like the Gulf countries, and some of it is used, but many of it is not used. And I have to say, Dubai, it's ahead a little bit of
Really?
others because
Yeah.
they use it for landscaping. So all the landscaping we are seeing in Dubai, it's actually based on treated wastewater,
Yeah.
which is very good use, but you can use it even better for agriculture to have a produce and have a return on investment. And we saw that many countries like Jordan, they don't have the funds to do it at the tertiary. So what they do secondary, and then they mix it with fresh water to get to the international standards of the WHO.
Yeah.
And others that use it without any treatment. So there is a different, depends on the countries and their capacity, there is different uses of treated wastewater. But the bottom line of it is that it's the only renewable source for all these countries. So they have to use it.
Yeah.
And the risk, it's much more for the farmer and for the consumer. So they have to address it. They have to address the standards. They have to address the safety use of it. So it's very important, and I think it's a big component of sustainability
Yeah, absolutely.
for cities. Yeah.
But I think, you see, the issue is not only using this type of water, but also which kind of strategic method you are applying in using this water. Because, for example, even the planting, what you are planting in the city in general, let us talk about not agriculture, it's another issue, but in the city itself, if we are thinking the sustainability in the city, so what you are planting and how you are planting and how you are watering them, these are interrelated with each other. So if you make the whole city totally green and you are using plants that they will consume a lot of
Too much water,
yeah.
and such, it's also a question that one has to solve in future. But you know what, I think this is a very important issue, Thea, for your conference. I don't know, maybe for next
yeah, well,
conference, I don't
actually,
know, I can consider
alongside
and think about.
alongside this conference, we run an exhibition which looks at the outdoor sector and landscaping, and there is quite a theme actually on sustainability in that as well. We run a seminar program looking at, last year we had somebody come along from the Kiel talking about kind of local plants and conditions.
Native
so
species,
yeah, native species, because more and more I think they're being used in developments, because obviously they don't, with water scarcity, actually
Exactly.
they work much better. So we do address these kind of themes and more sustainable irrigation, landscaping, from kind of the design the beginning of the process right through to the end of the process as well. So yeah, we're kind of looking at some of those areas too.
Yeah, that's
All
very
right.
interesting.
Yeah.
I have actually, thank you. I have one last question. So both of you, both of you have signed agreement with CUD actually about collaborations and such. So we are actually looking forward to, strengthen this relationship in order to achieve this goal in general, was achieving the sustainability in Dubai in general. So I don't know if you have anything to add about this MOU, the relationship. You have any idea how you can go forward with more collaborations, activities and such, please? So
for us at ICBA, as a research for development institute that's based in Dubai, it's very important that we link with the universities. So as a local university for at Canadian University of Dubai, it's a very important partner that we could eventually work with, be it on the education side. So we could receive students that could cover the crop side, it could cover the environmental effect, it could cover the landscaping, water management, different aspects that are of interest to both university and ICBA. And we are doing similar things because, research it's very much linked to education.
Sure.
So it's like an extension for me.
is,
So
yes,
you
of
get
course.
your education and then you go and you try it on the
Sure.
bench, and then from there you take
Yeah.
it to the development to implement it. So that linkages, be it with universities locally or universities internationally, it's very important. This MOU, we just got a signing of an MOU with Sydney University, for example.
Wow.
So we are reaching out to universities locally as well as internationally, and that's a very important component of our work.
Do they
The
use the
other-
same methodology? I mean, biosaline agriculture in Sydney, yes?
So Australia, it's one of the countries that went through a very successful way of water management. It's very arid or semi-arid continent as well. They have a lot of salinity problems. They have a lot of water problems,
Oh, yeah.
and
Good.
against all of these limitations, they have a very successful agriculture and agribusiness.
Wow, good.
So it's a very successful case that we are looking at and working with. The other things I want to mention is that for ICBA, the other component, the why we created the center, it's tech transfer to the countries that had salinity problems. Hence, capacity building has been always very, very important for us. So we did more of it the first 5 years than the second 5 years, but it has been always one of the pillars, because we need to help those countries, national programs, extensions, universities, to help them really get the technology, which is most of the time very innovative, and to implement it and try it in their own countries. And that's, again, university very important. If we are doing tech transfer, we don't want to keep doing it the same way we have been doing it 10 years or 20 years ago. It's very important to link with experts, especially if they are locally, because most of it happens here in Dubai, in our headquarters in Academic City.
Interesting.
All right, Thea, do you have
I
anything to
mean,
add?
yeah, for us, it's really it's a very beneficial partnership, because this event is an educational event, and it's the first year that we're running the event. So it's important to kind of draw on the expertise and your knowledge here to make sure that the program that we're developing is in line with the latest thinking. It will be something that is quite new. The discussions will be new. We've got the right speakers on the program. So working with the Canadian University is important to us, and we're hoping that we can develop the relationship going forward.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you very much, ladies, and we are looking forward to do much more.
Together,
All right,
definitely.
together,
Yes,
sure.
yeah.
Thank you
Okay.
very much.
Thank you
Thank
very much,
you.
both
Thank
of you.
you.
Thank you.